very good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session of My Story, Motivational Session by Successful Entrepreneurs. We've got something really special in store today, an exclusive conversation that promises to spark your creativity and challenge your thinking. Now, I want you to imagine having the power to turn a simple idea scribbled on a napkin into a product that can change lives. Sounds exciting, right? Well, our guest today has helped thousands of people do just that. Joining us is Sayantan Mukherjee, the advisor at Soul, a startup founder, and an innovative coach who has mentored over 3,500 aspiring entrepreneurs across the globe. He's someone who knows what it takes to turn dreams into realities and overcome the hurdles along the way. Today, we are not just going to talk about entrepreneurship, we are going to unpack the mindset behind it, explore fascinating success stories, and even dig into some epic fails that turned out to be hidden blessings. Before we jump in, I want you, that is, our listeners, to think of a problem you wish you could solve or a product you've always wished existed. Throughout this session, keep that idea in mind and see if you can find inspiration to make it happen. And who knows, maybe Shantan Sir's insights will be the push you needed to take the leap. So let's get ready to explore the world of innovation through the eyes of a man who's shaping the future of entrepreneurship. Shantan Sir, welcome to the podcast. We, the Startup Club of MCKVIE, is thrilled to have you here. So, sir, how are you feeling today?
Actually great in since the time I got to know that MCKV has a startup club. I never knew it, and I always wanted to see my college having something which I have been talking about in other parts of the country, and it's not a new thing, it seems, right? How old is startup club?
It has been quite a long time, actually, sir.
Okay. So yeah, I mean that's thrilling. So of course I am very happy to be here, interact with you guys, and let's see what transforms our interaction into.
That's great to hear, sir. Now, I'm sure our listeners are eager to know what got you started on this path. Was there a particular moment or experience that ignited your passion for innovation and entrepreneurship? Or rather, what made you choose entrepreneurship and how did you pursue this path?
Okay, interesting. So basically, funny thing is when I passed out of MCKV, it was in 2011, and 2011 I directly got a placement in Mahindra and Mahindra Limited. Of course, it's a big break, and I think that time you get a little carried away. It's a big company you are working in. So I was from the automobile engineering domain. Being from automobile, getting into Mahindra, best thing that can happen. So the only thing that probably I was thinking of at that time was maybe couple of years here and then I'll try a little bit of MTech. So that was the wish. But something interesting happened. I started realizing that you know technically thing is not something that is making me very I mean I'm not getting a call, the technical mechanical part. So then I started looking at, okay, do I have an option on MBA? So that's when I started looking at what policies Mahindra has, because I was not looking to shell out a lot of money on my MBA, and happened to be that there was something which was available with Mahindra where they would sponsor a part of my course if I get into some premium colleges, and one of those is SIBM Pune. So now I had in front of me SIBM Pune as one of the options and few streams that I can choose where I want to go. Then of course I have to go through the normal SNAP exam, interview, and all those things. Interestingly, one of those was innovation and entrepreneurship as a major, and I was pretty sure that entrepreneurship business, I'm nowhere close to it. I never wanted to be there because I don't come from a business background. Never ever have seen anybody in my family doing business. So I knew that's not my cup of tea. I am not going to go there. But So I was intrigued with the word innovation. I always loved innovation, and I used to do a lot of innovation projects and stuff. So that's what's there. Now, when I joined SIBM, eventually it worked out. I joined SIBM. Interesting thing was the course was designed in a way that almost every other day you get to interact with entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs who are, some of them are just started, they are struggling, some of them are prominent ones, some big investors. So day in, day out, I was listening to these people and I got carried away totally. And I then realized what there is a fun of entrepreneurship. Um, of course, I was too naive at that point of time only to think that entrepreneurship is all fun. It is not, 100% it is not. But the fun is something that's catchy. And in fact, maybe I was I mean, of course, with respect to you, I was older, but still I was a young guy. And I was like, no, I want to do something about it. So thought that, this 2 years while I am in college, let me try out something of my own. And that is where I got into entrepreneurship, and I never could come out. So because I joined SIBM through Mahindra, because when I say through Mahindra, Mahindra sponsored almost more than 75-80% of my course fee. I had a bond with them to serve 2 years. I served those 2.5 years, and then I left job, and I knew that this is what I want to do. I want to do something on my own, create something on my own. So that's about it.
That's such an incredible journey, Sayantan sir. It's always fascinating to hear about what initially drives someone towards entrepreneurship, especially when it comes from a personal moment or realization. It seems like those early experience really shape the passion and purpose behind your work. I'm sure many in the audience can relate to the feeling of wanting to carve out their own path. So, from your experience, what do you think are some of the biggest roadblocks that entrepreneurs face when trying to turn their ideas into realities? And what strategies do you recommend for overcoming those hurdles?
Yeah, the biggest challenge, mainly young entrepreneurs, and I'm talking about people like you might face. First thing is the urge to have form a team among your friends, and that's one of the biggest mistake. I made it, so I can tell you 100%, because I also started while I was in college. I had my roommates and my best friends around. So my understanding was this is how you form a startup, where you have your friends together, all your friends work together. Absolutely, it's not how you should start. Okay, so team is one of the biggest roadblock. You might start with something, but your team, if the team is not good, when I say not good, it means that the team is not complementing each other. A startup should have complementary skills. They are not made out of friendship. Doesn't work. So you need to figure out what your startup needs, who your startup needs, and those are the people who should co-found. Number one. Number two is again another problem, and very specific to this crowd, because you all are engineers. Engineers tend to love solution making. Okay, so most of the time I see people coming, and when I have been mentoring young entrepreneurs for nearly 5.5 years now. One very common thing that I hear is somebody coming in a session, and I'm talking about, not only young people, quite old people, like in their 40s, 50s. They come and they say that, I got a brilliant idea to work on. Now, the moment you hear that, there is a problem. I immediately put a star mark. When you have an idea to work on, there's a problem. The problem is you already thought of a solution, but did you spend enough time thinking what will it solve? So your start of any startup idea ideally should be from the problem, not from a solution. Engineers, when they because they make things, right? And a lot of today people are coders, so they find it very easy to code something, make a product. Problem with that is if you have not spent enough time understanding what problem and whose problem you are actually trying to solve, and directly you are trying to create a solution for it, you will break your head making that product or the solutions to sell, because you don't know whom to sell, you don't know why somebody will buy it. So always start with whose problem am I solving? What is that problem? Do I know it well? Spend good time on it. Solution will come very easily if you know the problem well. So ideally, I would say these are the two major roadblocks. There are many, many, and that would come later on. But at your stage, if you have not yet started, these are the two major roadblocks that you should be very, very careful.
That's such a valuable advice, sir. It reminds me of something we often emphasize, that is resilience. Now, sir, I'm not sure that every idea comes out perfect the first time, right? It's a part of the learning process, right? We've all faced those moments when an initial plan does not go as expected. So, could you share a story from your own journey where an idea didn't quite work out, but eventually led to a breakthrough or a surprising innovation? I think it would be a very inspiring story for everyone to hear how failure can sometimes be the best teachers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny one, and this is not part of the entrepreneurship venture that I am in right now. This was part of my journey as innovation lead in Mahindra Research Valley. So while I was there, every year there would be a lot of GETs coming. Like if you eventually go and join a company, you are going to be a GET, graduate engineer training. So my job was to train those engineers on innovation and make them ready, because a lot of the top ideas that the company would make money out would be from ideas that would actually born from a young engineer's mind. There's a expert syndrome that happens in most companies. The more time you spend in the company, the lesser ideas start coming to you. Okay, so now I had a bunch of something around 50 young engineers. I was working with them. So there is a process called design thinking. I believe that you might have heard of it. So I would train them on that, and the aim would be to look at one of the company's business where they can apply this. Interestingly, what happened was uh, we were supposed to go out on a field visit where the understanding was that we are going to create a product for the engineer for the farmers who are struggling to make ends meet. Okay, so generally the thought process goes like this: that you are trying to create a solution for somebody who is a marginalized community, that's most impactful. So we decided that okay, that's a good user segment to go ahead and meet. So we went to one place where we knew that there are a lot of farmers. The idea, again, I repeat, the idea is farmers are poor, right? Now, we were there, and in one of the houses, it was, one floor, kind of a mud house. And we went there. Probably somebody told that there are some people from Mahindra Research Valley R&D Center. They are coming to talk to you. So they were pretty much ready for us. We went there immediately. They gave us some coconut water. Okay, and we were some 6 people. This guy was non-stop cutting coconuts and giving us the water. So top on guests and all that that you expect. Now, one guy, one of my team, this young GD, he came and he said, "Sir, this is not right." So I was like, "What is not right?" So no, he's a poor guy, and he's giving all his coconuts for us. We are just going ahead and drinking this. This is not right. We should be paying him, or at least ask him to not cut anymore. So I said, fine, let's do one thing. Let's try to understand from him first that where is he getting these coconuts. So this guy, so we went. We started interacting with this farmer, and he asked that, okay, so you are giving us this coconut water. So where are you getting this coconuts from? So he showed a tree. So he said, so okay, you sell also the coconuts. He said, no, no, not from this tree. Okay, so not from this tree. Then what do you do with this? "No, we use it for our consumption. Okay. Then he said that I'll show you the coconut that we sell. He took us to the backside of his house, and you won't believe there is almost close to 2.5 to 3 acre land, and across it, the border, there are at least something around 250 to 300 coconut trees, and each tree filled up with coconuts, right? Now this guy, this GD, he was so intrigued. He started asking the maths. So how much do you sell each coconut for? How many coconuts do you get and all? The number came down to monthly, he is earning something around 7.5 to 8 lakhs. And this guy, he came back to me, sat on the bed and said, sir, what are we doing in Mahindra? Exactly. And this is non-taxable. Agricultural income is non-taxable. Now the interesting thing was, this was the funny part. The interesting thing was, over there, all the GTs, when we all got to know exactly the reality, immediately we decided that forget about whatever we have come here for. Let's try to make a product that is going to help this guy, and we can earn money. We can ask him to pay, because other farmers, we have to start thinking that, okay, we don't, it should not be pocket pinching. This guy, he has loads and loads of money sitting under his bed. So we can ask for that money. That's where we came up with something kind of a autonomous bottling machine. It's a very different sort of a concept, which was never thought of. Nobody in Mahindra ever thought that they should be making something like this. It's in production right now where, so what is the function? The function is, when you are really a rich farmer, what you do is you don't go to the farm anymore. You spend your time on more valuable work, and rather a part of your farm activity, you give it to this machine where it churns the soil. So this is a preparation thing that is done. It's an autonomous one. It does do it on its own. You just have to initially draw the path. That's it. And it will do it on its own. So this innovation would never have happened if this funny incident would have happened, where it was an eye opener, a new knowledge, and immediately on the spot we did a pivot. So yeah, innovations can be real fun.
So innovations can really do come up from unusual and unconventional situations, right? So
Absolutely.
basically, experience is the best teacher, and especially for the first-time entrepreneurs or innovators, they make common mistakes, and maybe those could be easily avoided. And for everyone listening, think about your own ideas or ventures, as I mentioned while starting the podcast. Do any of these mistakes, which Sayantan sir unfolds, resonate with you? It would be great to hear how we can learn from these pitfalls and approach entrepreneurship more wisely.
Yeah. So Mega, you asked me for some experiences from my end.
Yes, some mistakes that you made.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Mistakes are, throughout whatever I am doing. So I keep on engaging myself with multiple different stuff. So I started off with funny thing, by the way, when I decided that I would leave my job and I'll come back to Kolkata, I'll start off something on my own. The first thing that came into my mind, any guess what I started off with? Just random guess. Think about it, that what could have been my first venture after I left my job.
Something related to software or engineering.
Okay, that's Megas. Anybody, you can just put on chat. What do you think? What could have been my
Say something related
first?
to food.
How do you know that? Okay. Did I ever mention? Oh, okay, Bhargav it is, right? Oh, yeah. Then I think he might know a bit. Yeah, absolutely. So I started a restaurant, and so it itself was a failure. And why was it? Because I thought that I'm a foodie and I can make the best venture out of it. Total nonsense. It doesn't work that way. You are a foodie, that's why you are going to make a restaurant or you are coming out with a cloud kitchen concept. No, no, it doesn't work that way at all. So one of the biggest mistakes that I have made is not able to understand what it takes to build a business. Okay. It is very important to understand this, that whatever you do, maybe a very simple idea that you are starting off with, one very simple problem that you want to solve, at least spend some time thinking about how the whole gamut of things looks like. It starts from you getting into the office to working on, maybe we just consider the coding part of it or the high tech part of it, but that's not the end. You have to incorporate a startup, so you have to get into all these legalities. You have to ensure that while you are hiring, you are able to pay those people. Otherwise there is going to be some, again, legal issues. So day in day out you are looking for IP, again another sort of legality. IP, I believe a lot of you would understand, intellectual property. So you are making something, you have to protect it. So throughout my career, I have myself made a lot of mistakes, but more importantly, I have seen others also making it. So one of those is where I have seen this IP being a very, very big issue, mainly with engineers. They don't really understand much about intellectual property. When we create something, we love to talk about it. Ideally, that's the last thing that you should do. Okay, when you are making something, you have figured out a problem, you have figured out who is facing the problem. Now you are trying to work on the solution. The moment you are in the process, start looking for that how you can protect the idea. If it is a brand new idea, before you put it out on any blog or any conference you go and talk about, or a paper you write, these all are very tempting. Don't do any of this. Go ahead, protect the idea first. That's number one. Because I have seen people, legitimate people, they have created their products, just that they missed out on protecting it. They had to spend millions of dollars, I'm telling you millions, okay, on lawsuit because somebody sued them. Those guys are the ones who copied their idea, because these guys went ahead and talked about it in open. Those guys actually made a prototype or something, immediately filed a patent for it, and once that was passed, they sued the original company, and this company had no idea what mistake they have done. So make sure that you take IP very, very seriously. Okay. Second thing is, as I said, team is very important. Don't make the mistake which I made, where I was like thinking that friends are going to be there forever and friends are the best people to work on. No, complementary skills, number one. Number two is principle. Having the same principle people on board is very important, because you probably have a value system where you want your startup to do certain things, right? Others might not have the same understanding. Now, there might be an issue for that. So that is another very, very fundamental thing that you look for. Third sort of a mistake is chewing more than, the other way, eating more than you can chew. So sometimes what happens is we fail to delegate. And this is something that is extremely important as an entrepreneur. You need to have the ability to delegate things. Okay. If you are not delegating, you will be worked out of and you will feel like so tired that you won't be able to concentrate on the core thing that you are doing. Okay. So that's very important. Find out the right people whom you can delegate stuff. And the last one I would say is, there is something that I always talk about, that the version 1 is always better than the version none. Okay. Whenever you're thinking of some solution, you have thought of that this is a problem, this can be a solution, go ahead, make something out of it and get it out in the market. Give it to some people, get some feedback. Okay. I'm not saying that you earn bucks out of it. but at least give it to people where they can give you feedback. Okay, that's very important. Problem with engineers are they sometimes tend to be perfectionists. We always try to make sure, no, this still something yet to be done. It's not coming out 100% right. You don't need to make something 100% right. It's okay, you can keep on iterating, but don't wait too long, because the market is, the world is fast. Forget about the market, the world is fast. And when the world is fast, somebody else also is thinking the same line that you are. Don't wait, take it out in the market. Okay, so mostly these are the few mistakes that I made myself. All of it. So not all of them are my mistakes. It's somewhere I am borrowing mistakes of others made because I didn't dare I hear it. But these are kind of things that I would say be very careful about.
It's eye-opening to hear about the common pitfalls that many innovators face. I hope the listeners would keep these insights in their minds in their pursuits. Now, sir, in your experience, which industries do you believe are currently ripe for disruption, and what factors contribute to this potential for change?
Okay. Right now there is no single industry we can talk about. I'll tell you why. Right now, there are certain factors that cut across all industries, certain factors. And if you are thinking of starting up in these factors with the cause, they are all right. For example, sustainability is a thing that is right now going good. People are talking about it, but maybe 5 6 years, maybe 10 years down the line, they are going to be the prime thing. And doesn't matter what industry you are in. You can be in the manufacturing, you can be in the FMCG, you can be in the food and beverage, whatever. Think about it. Wherever sustainability is a concern, automotive industry, why not? So the factor over here is sustainability. Look for it. Prepare yourself today. Try to understand what contributes to sustainability from the industry you are passionate about. I always tell this to people. You don't jump into an industry just because that industry seems like right. Because very soon you would feel like, even if there is a lot of money in it, you will feel claustrophobic because this is not where you want yourself to be. So don't go somewhere where you don't find yourself fitting in. Rather, look for this kind of things. One is sustainability. The other is energy management. Why I talk about this is going to be there is a big requirement. And I said energy, not anything more or anything less. Why? Because in energy, we have multiple things to look at. It can be energy management. It can be finding new sources of energy. Now, when you look into what is happening today, look at certain things that's building up in technology. For example, Gen AI is right now a big thing. We all are very much used to this. Going ahead, we are going to see, artificial intelligence in its general model, AGI, and even further, we are going to see ASI, the supreme intelligence. Now, what is stopping us from reaching those levels? What is stopping us from an ANI or a generative AI to become an AGI or an ASI? It is that we don't have enough power available to churn in so much of data that can take them to that level. So energy is a huge requirement. It is going to be a big thing tomorrow. So how are you going to look at energy management as a possible trend across any domain? Talk about any domain, it is going to be very applicable. Now, when I look into certain industries, if you said, I would suggest, when you choose your industry, first you look into all these kind of trends. By the way, one more trend that I would tell you, which probably is very different from sustainability and energy management, is something that's happening globally, and that's our average lifespan is increasing, resulting as a result of it, the people who are old are more in the world right now than the younger people. And going ahead, there are going to be more older people. Now, what do you do with these people? So, a lot of elderly people are there. You have a gamut of opportunities for them. Today, our retirement age is 60. I bet you, and you can take it in writing, in another few years, this is going to go up to 70, 75. I'm telling about retirement age. Why? You know what? 60 was decided when people would start developing some sort of illness and challenges. By the time they are 58, 59, by 60 they will be not suitable to work anymore, and people would die by 75, 80. That was like, oh, they are old, they are old, they are dying. Okay, now that is changing. You should look into this kind of data are available. You should look into all this. Lifespan is increasing, and people are living healthier lives now, in spite of so much of pollution and stuff like that. Because of access to healthcare, people are living longer. So if people are living longer and healthier lives, there is an amazing opportunity for you entrepreneurs to do something with the elderly people who are 60 plus, 70 and so on. Can you create some sort of, say, education system for the elderly? We don't have it right now. Nobody has talked about education for a senior citizen, but it's a requirement. Why? Because after 65, 60, 65, when they are out of their work, they are trying to connect with their kids and their grandkids, and they figure out the language has changed, the technology has changed, they are talking a different language, and there's a barrier. People are, any people you look at, everybody wants to be part of a community, part of a group. Today they are not able to, because there is no education system that helps them relearn new things. There's an opportunity. So opportunity is there. You need to just look into data. You need to look into what trend is stepping up, and all these are cutting across multiple industries. Yes, ma'am.
It's fantastic to reflect on these industries you've mentioned about and how they hold the potential to change over times. Also, how the advancement in technology also has entrepreneurial opportunities is just wonderful. We often hear about the importance of learning from others in the field of innovation. Are there any books or resources that have significantly influenced your thinking on innovation or entrepreneurship or even business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is no one book I would say, and if I could show you, I would probably sometimes I'll show you. I have at least. I mean, so I right now is in Chennai. So because of work commitments and all, I keep moving. Now in Chennai house only, I have close to some 120, 140 books, and if you ask me, have I read all of them? I haven't. Maybe few pages of one book, few of others. I keep hopping books. But I would tell you name of two people for now. I don't want you to bombard with a lot of names. Two people I would suggest, because Megha, you asked innovation. I'll just give you two names. One is Professor Clayton Christensen. If let me just type it over here, because sometimes people make a mistake. Okay, Professor Clayton Christensen is number one, who has an enormous effect on me. He changed the way I look into things, and in fact, I would tell you that of the so many young entrepreneurs that I have mentored, I have changed their businesses and they have seen success by only applying Professor Clayton Christensen's theory of job to be done. Okay, that's a fundamental thing that just opened my eye. And the more I read, still I'm learning. because there is so much depth into what he said, what he meant, and he has written so many books on this concept that it takes maybe years to understand the concept very well. But once you do it, making a business becomes so damn easy. Okay, even any innovation that way as well. The other guy is Simon Sinek. These are the two guys I would say for now. There are a lot of names that are popping up in my head, and my head is kind of telling me that why are you stopping here? Give all the other names, but I don't want to because it will just confuse you. Just if you are really interested, just go through these two guys. One is alive. Simon Sinek is still there, so you can just watch his YouTube videos. And one of the YouTube videos that I would ask you to definitely look at of Simon Sinek is Start with the Why. And this is one of the things that I always say in any discussions like this, that the fundamental thing that an entrepreneur you should be doing is think of why you are starting something. Okay, that can be that I am extremely passionate about this. That can be this is a pressing problem requires to be solved. It can be there are so many people facing this problem that it has to be solved. But you start with the why. So there is a concept that he talks about called the golden circle, where he amazingly explains you that why Apple is so successful and how Apple advertises their products. They always start with why, and then they go to how, and they finally say what. They never say that we have made an iPad. They never did that. They start with we realize people face some problem. And once we realize people face some problem, we start looking at how we can use our own capabilities to solve that problem. And that's where we bring an iPad today that can solve your problem. So this is how they say, and you are like, oh my goodness, that's how powerful it is. So always start with the why. This is something that Simon Sinek taught me, and it's like it's just got stuck, right? So these two guys, Clayton Christensen, Simon Sinek, and the topic for each of them. Clayton Christensen is job to be done. Simon Sinek is start with the why.
Thank you for this recommendation, sir. I'm sure our audience are eager to check them out and apply the insights to their own ventures. Now, here's a fun question for you, sir. If you could go back in time and speak to your younger self, just starting out in entrepreneurship, what advice would you give?
Okay. The biggest advice that I would give that guy would be that, go ahead and start using LinkedIn. One of the biggest problem that I faced was to create my brand, and it took me close to 2.5 years to make people realize that I exist and there is something that I can be useful of. Whereas there was a time when I was doing very useful, impactful work. I have never spoken about it in public. And that is one particular thing that I would tell myself going back, that whatever you do, we sometimes underestimate whatever we do. We sometimes think, "Arey, isme kya hai? Matlab, this is very simple." No, nothing is simple. Every day there is a story that we make. Every day, whatever we do, if you're doing something, if you're just sitting in one place and just doing nothing, that's a different story. But if you're actually doing something, maybe a simple stuff, you made a product, or even making a product is a big deal. You probably just cook something. That is also so important. Like today, and now when I cook something, I start thinking that what went in making that food, what I actually thought, why did I make this? So when you start thinking and analyzing that exactly what thought process went, that is a good enough topic to discuss about on LinkedIn. And why you're doing that is not to just brag about yourself and tell that, oh my God, I'm such a great guy. No, not that. But you tell people what goes on in your mind. and people love to tap your mind. People, there might be hundreds of others who can resonate with you. They connect with you. And these connections, this network is hugely valued. People highly underestimate the value of networking. So LinkedIn is definitely something which is online networking, but wherever possible, I would have told my younger self that go ahead, talk to people. Don't be that shy guy sitting at the corner, finding your friends and just be comfortable with. No, go ahead, speak about yourself that this is what I am trying to do. And you should be humble. You don't need to be actually be loud and tell people and brag about yourself. Be humble, be grounded. You always understand that there is something to learn from every other being out there. So if you are doing that, it is going to be, it just multiplies exponentially, right? So networking is something that I would have definitely asked my younger self to do.
Now, after we have talked about your initial startup phase, could you recall from your experiences what's the craziest pitch you have ever heard from a startup founder?
Well, I'll probably take the next most craziest, because the craziest is something that I cannot probably speak in public about. Um, so, okay, the next most craziest was something where that guy, I mean, I'll tell you one thing. No idea is crazy idea that way, because some people might have said somebody that, oh, this is crazy. Then it turns out that that is one of the most money making venture. Like I'll tell you, I don't know how many of you know about the thing that existed before Netflix. Any idea what existed before Netflix? Not in India. India, though, we started getting this streaming options and all fine, but Netflix was not a streaming service before. Any idea what was there before Netflix, or rather, I would say, what did Netflix disrupt before becoming Netflix? Anybody, anything that you can put on chat? HBO, okay. HBO was a channel, of course, but there was one organization, okay, I'll tell you. It's called Blockbuster. Blockbuster. So basically, how people in the US, and just give me a minute, I just need to take one medicine. So, Blockbuster was something where they would, give people movie on rental. So that time, this online things were not there because internet was not that great that you can directly stream. So there would be one CD movie in a CD, and what they would do is they would give you for rent, okay. And if you are missing out on, it's kind of taking a book from the library. So similarly, a movie from Blockbuster. So you have to drop back that CD on time, otherwise you have to pay some fine. Absolutely same as how you put the library fines. Now, Blockbuster came in and they said that, and these fines were pretty expensive, by the way. So Blockbuster, Netflix guys came and they said that, you know what, this is something that is a deterrent. This is a big problem and you should immediately stop it. We have an idea how we can still make money, but we don't want to charge people for their late fees, and we should still make sure that we are getting the movie back. So we want to work with you on this. Blockbuster thought that's a crazy idea. Like, because we are talking about crazy ideas, right? Blockbuster thought that's a very crazy idea to work on. And they just laughed over their face and they said that, oh, go to hell. This is not something that we are ever interested in. These guys were coming at very good valuation. They ignored them. And these guys later on became Netflix. They ousted Blockbuster and they are a big company now. So that way, I would say that I have not, I won't disqualify any ideas as a crazy idea. But one of the most craziest ideas that I got, I again tell you, this is the second most crazy ideas. So this was, uh, mm, uh, it was an underwear rental, idea. Somebody came up with a platform where you can rent underwears, and it was not only me but two other guys were also there, and we all were like, we're laughing our heart out. What are you even saying? Are you in the same mind? Interesting thing, that guy came to the page while he was making money. So I don't know who was using his platform, but he had close to some 34 customers the day he came to pitch to us. And we were like, sorry, I don't know that you might be making money out of it. How you're making money, that also I have no idea. Under what circumstances somebody would be renting it out, that I also don't know. But that was probably the craziest sort of a thing. And that's one more uh, thing that I want to tell you guys and make you a little bit, careful about. See, a lot of people think that platforms, mainly creating a rental platform, is something that the world needs. And people are out there renting everything. Okay, give this for rent, that for rent, second hand, and stuff like that. Everybody is after creating a platform. Well, while platform creating a platform is easy for you, it is easy for others as well. Even if you find that there is something that is good enough to be rented out, because it is so easy to be rented out, somebody else also might think of the same idea, then they would come. So necessarily starting a platform of rental or something might not be a great idea now. I would actually encourage you guys to stay out of this sort of ideas. It is harmful because you put in a lot of money, effort, write codes for for the platform to run, and then you realize that it's not working. So I would suggest give it a break. Platforms, there are enough platforms around us now. Unless you figure out something which is really that great, which requires a platform to be made, don't go ahead and make another platform now.
You have given a perfect example of how thinking out of the box can lead to groundbreaking opportunities in the market. Even the unexpected business plans might crack, and you may actually get successful with those. So, sir, do you
Absolutely.
have a favorite quote or mantra that keeps you motivated even on tough days? I can, many of us can relate to needing that extra push sometimes.
Yeah, it's so something that Steve Jobs said, and it was in his, I think, convocation speech of 2005 in Stanford. He was standing there. I would suggest you to just go and listen to it. It's a fantastic speech that he gave. But something that I remember, there is a book by the same title. It's called Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish. Have you heard of this book? Anybody who can tell me who wrote this book? It's an Indian author who wrote this book. Rashmi Bansal. She wrote this book, Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish. So Stay Foolish, Stay Hungry. This is something that Steve Jobs said, and it's a very, very important meaning, a inner depth meaning that is associated with this concept. See, when you say foolish, what do you mean? Foolish is something that requires you accepting that you are foolish requires you to keep your ego at the best level. You might have been successful in whatever you're doing. As a student, as an entrepreneur, you might have got some funding. Problem with people is that whenever they get success, they go head over heels. It's like it's a fantastic experience and I am the best. At that time, staying grounded, keeping your ego as low as possible is very important. So, number one is accepting that you are foolish, accepting that there is lot more to learn is very important. And the moment you start thinking that there is nothing more that you can learn, you are gone that day. Second thing about foolish is being how you can keep asking questions. That is curiosity. Extremely important. Curiosity means you should be asking your customers what they feel. You should be asking your competitors what they are planning. You should be comfortable enough asking even your, juniors, your peers, trying to understand what's happening around and always question, why is this happening this way? You know what? It helped me a lot when things were a little difficult in my life, in my entrepreneurial journey. There had been certain times where I actually made sure that I keep on asking questions. And when I kept on asking questions to the most unobvious people, the non-obvious people, I got certain ideas that were, kind of path breaking for me. So staying foolish is fundamentally very important for two reasons. Number one, keeping your ego down. Number two, staying curious. And staying hungry is where it is all comes down to persistence. When you have the hunger and you want more, you won't be, easily bogged down by failures. You know that there is something that I am going to get going ahead. I have to keep on trying, keep on trying. So there had been multiple times I failed in my life in multiple different, you know, uh, phases. But every time I failed, I kept thinking of what Steve Jobs said. And if you know his journey, you would know that how many times he failed. He failed to the extent that he was kicked out of his own company, right? What big failure can this be? So if that guy could have done all these things, we can also do it. So that's something that kept me motivated all the time. This one thing, stay foolish, stay hungry. It was it was something that was very valuable to me throughout all the time. And whenever I would feel that, this is something that does not resonate, I mean, something is not working out, I would look for it. And there is another thing, which is again not part of any entrepreneur saying anything or anybody else, but this is something that I always keep in my mind. And this is a quote coming from Bhagavad Gita, the 2.47 verse of Bhagavad Gita, where Sri Krishna is saying that you are entitled for the job that you are supposed to do, but not for the results that you get out of it. So it means simply that keep doing your job, keep doing your work. If you think that's the right thing to do, keep doing it repeatedly, again and again. But don't expect that just because you are doing it and it is going to be coming your way. It might not come your way. Don't look at these result that happens. Keep doing your job. And interestingly, every time, you won't believe this, every time I thought of a result and did something, there was challenges because I was always fearful. What if I don't get that result? There was tremendous pressure. But the moment you think that the result is not in your control, result is a factor of something very different from what is there in your control, you go in that zone where you are so fascinated to do that job because you like it. You are doing it because you like it and you can do it forever. You can keep doing it. Results start coming. Good results. Results that you didn't even think that would happen, from nowhere all those results would start coming. Everybody would be after you, praising you, telling that, oh, amazing, whatever you've done. You never wanted that. You never asked for it. It's coming because you are putting all your effort into your work. So it's a fantastic verse, 2.47 of Bhagavad Gita, that keeps me motivated whenever I feel that there is struggle. Yes, Megha.
What you said really resonates with the challenges many of us face as we navigate our paths. It's a great reminder for all of us to keep pushing forward no matter the obstacles. Now, for a fun twist, sir, if you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would they be and why? I'm sure the audience would love to hear your choices and the fascinating conversation you'd imagine having with them.
Oh, that's something that I have to think of it. Of course, one guy 100% would be Clayton Christensen. I mean, for me, he is kind of a godlike person. Ever I would have got an opportunity to have a dinner with him, I don't know, I would have not ate anything but just making him speak a lot and listen to him. So that's definitely one guy. The other two will be difficult. Maybe. Again, it's a different genre of people. It would be Swami Vivekananda, the second person, and that's because it's fascinating to look at him, the way he encouraged young people to go for a cause that was not even visible. And the more I read about him, I feel like, he can be a very good idol for me. Of course, not 100%, but a lot of things, whenever I feel, I am challenged, I start thinking that what if I am Swami Vivekananda? What would I do? And I get an answer. So I would love to know a lot more, which I don't know about him, if I would have got an opportunity to talk to him. And the third person would be, okay, this is interesting. Uh, I don't know. It's very difficult to put that way. It might not be one person, but it's somebody who have faced the worst of the worst difficulties and challenges in life, but still could come out. And I don't know the name of that person. I have seen a picture. She's a lady. She is from comes from the Yazidi background, who you might be knowing is from the Syria, that war-torn Iraq Syria zone. I read about her a bit and I heard her speak. She endured hell, but when she speaks, this is what happened. So there was some interviewer who was interviewing her, and parallelly, this year's India South Africa T20 final was happening in another tab. I could not go to that tab. I was just listening to her. By the time I moved on to the tab, that famous sky catch already happened. So I was okay to deal with it because I knew that this lady just captured my attention. The way she was speaking, what happened to her, and she was very blunt. Exactly, she could tell everything that happened to her, and she was not like that before all this she had to endure. She was a very normal woman coming from a very conservative family, but what she endured, and now she was holding a gun in her hand, and she was like, I have been through hell. What more they can inflict on me? So let me see. And she's not talking about killing those people. She's talking about that. That's the most interesting part. She's telling that what will I do? How many will I kill? I don't want to kill anybody. Rather, I want to explain them that this is not the solution. This is not how things work. An eye for an eye does not really work. I was totally, zapped, and maybe if I would have ever got this opportunity that you said, Mega, that I want them and they are there, these would be the three people I would want to have that in.
Those are truly exceptional choices. Each of those personalities have made remarkable impact in their own fields. Now, looking ahead, what's one innovation you believe will see in the next 10 years that will completely transform daily life?
Okay. See, right now the situation is whatever innovations we talk about has to be a technology innovation. Um, it's driving that way. So one thing that is going to go crazy is quantum computing, and application of quantum computing is what we are going to set, because you set a target of 10 years, because I don't think quantum computing can become mainstream in the next 5 years. It might take some time. We are still quite less in terms of how many qubits we have. When I say we, I mean somebody who is working on creating a quantum computer, how many qubits they could actually create, they could actually work on. That is still way less than what is expected to make quantum computing a mainstream stuff. But I'm expecting within 5 years this would happen. And once that happens, initially there will be applications in core sectors. When I say core sectors, it can be sectors like cybersecurity, it can be sectors like blockchain. Uh, a lot of areas like this would see impact, I believe. Energy that way would be a big sector where we would see application of quantum computing. A lot of military usage would happen, and then we would start seeing quantum computing like we are using now, the power of supercomputers. So maybe 10 years down the line we would have very different sort of mobile phones, laptops and stuff like that. These all things would not require to be there. Very, very different sort of things would come. So mostly that's where I see the innovations going. The other thing that I was talking to you about was healthcare. Healthcare is energy and healthcare. These are the two things that are going very fast, and they are going to see huge opportunity. And when I say healthcare, I mean longevity is going to be mainstream. 10 years down the line, I am expecting people would know how long they can be leading a healthy life, and they would also know how they can, if I use the word, manipulate their life. So they, you might have heard of, your stem cell freezing. A lot of women, they freeze their egg. So these are already happening, but these are going to become mainstream. So no single birth would happen without a stem cell getting freezed. So these are certain things that I am seeing would happen very soon in the next 10 years.
So, one last question for you, sir. If you could take a trip back to time to give your younger self one piece of advice at the beginning of your career, but you had to wrap it up in a riddle or a cryptic message, what would that riddle be?
Now, if you ask me for a riddle, then I have to, probably make up something now. Mm. So maybe, given that when I was starting, it was 2011. You said start of my career, so I would probably write and say prepare for the network. And what would it mean is, on one way, of course, network. The other way is internet is going to go real big. So be prepared for what is going to come. And you need to work hard and smart to be there when it becomes big. So if, since you said that it's a time travel, now I know where internet or things allied by internet are. So I would go back and tell that prepare for the net and work. If I just wanted to say network, I would have put it together. Now I would put a gap.
So, thank you, sir, for sharing your invaluable insights and inspiring us with our journey, with your journey. Your thoughts on innovation and perseverance will surely resonate with all of us as we navigate our own paths. I'm sure our listeners have enjoyed this as much as I have. Now, we'd like to open the floor to questions from the audience. Please feel free to share your questions, whether it's about innovation, entrepreneurship, or anything fun that we didn't cover. Yes, Bhargav, you may ask.
Hello. I just wanted to say that, sir, about the recent tragedy of the death of Sir Ratan Chatterjee. So, what will be your views about the businesses made by him? Will they grow in the future, or there will be a drop in their businesses?
No, I don't think there will be any impact on him passing away on the business per se, because it might seem like Tata's is kind of a family business and that's how it works. It doesn't work that way. Businesses these days, they are conglomerate. They are not even a business, it's a conglomerate. They are everywhere, and they are multinational conglomerate. So that way they have a very well planned the process of who is going to head next, how they're going to handle it. And it's not that Mr. Ratan Tata was involved in every aspects of the management in his day in day on businesses. Of course, he was there providing the guidance that the whole group would require, and nobody else can fulfill that. That part is his wisdom. It goes with him. So that is still going to be missing. However, in terms of the way they have planned their successor, um, pretty much it's not going to impact at all. It's going to just stay the same, unless they come in with some very drastic changes, which I don't think they would want to do.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one more question that in India, especially, the businesses of airlines is almost to the end style. So, because lots of companies have grown, but they have also been lost due to many type of bankruptcy. So, what is your views on the airlines business? Means what is the reason of the losses and the shutdown of businesses?
See, if you look at the one company that have mastered this process is Indigo. It's a low cost airline, and they started the concept of low cost airline. Even before that, it was all extravagant stuff, and they understood the core thing that people require: just go from point A to point B on time and do it with no fuss. So they have mastered it, and if you look into their financials, you would see that they are making profits year after year. So they have cracked the code, what it takes. Now coming to other companies, if you see Akasha Air right now, they are also in the you know uh, phase where they are also doing quite good. Yes, Rainier, yeah. So yeah, of course, in that way, a lot of companies right now have figured out that exactly what it requires to stay afloat in the business. However, the extravagant part that companies were looking at to provide customers, I believe still companies like Air India, Vistara, they provide food at the same price. It's an added cost. So it's difficult to manage. Again, that's not the only thing. You need to understand that when you are flying your flights and at certain time of the day in a certain part of the country, you don't have a complete flight full. So how do you manage that? This is a business model stuff that comes in. And interestingly, Indigo has kind of figured out that as well, that how they can be there almost everywhere, every part of the uh, country. Still, they are still figuring out, they have still managed to, ensure that most of their flights are full. Most of their flights are full at times. So how you balance it? There are multiple factors to it. Deciding how the routes would be, deciding when you are opening up for booking, deciding what sort of fleet are you going to hire for which place to what, wherever you are going, and what time you're putting these orders for. So everything gets into the business model, and it would be very interesting to see how they do it. So I believe that if people just focus on certain factors like this, it's still a feasible model. Flight is still a feasible model.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful answer.
Do we have any more questions? Okay, we do have one question.
Okay, so that's a very long question. Let me see. It's something weird, but I should ask. Suppose a middle class guy is working on his own startup from class 12. I thought that engineering में आके ज़्यादा focus कर पाएंगे, but now it's all about placements. Okay, and there's a financial constraint as he is from a middle class family. So what do you think? Should he think for jobs and then he can work on his idea after a few years? Okay, fantastic question, Rahul. I think even if others might not have asked this question, a lot of others would resonate with your question. And this is a true thing. Yeah. So, see, there is no right answer, wrong answer for this. The thing is, for your startup idea, it is very important to fund. And initially, I always prefer bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is getting money from your own pocket, your family's pocket, your friends' pocket, and all those people who are your well-wishers, their pocket. That is bootstrapping. So now if you see that you don't have enough fund to start your business, then of course it does make sense to get into a job and earn some money. You probably should be able to put a number in your mind that this, once I hit this, then I would totally jump back. Because problem with salary is that it is one of the biggest drug that people don't talk about. It's a drug. When you start getting salary at the end of the month, every month you start getting salary, you naturally get into that comfort zone, and that stops everything. So you need to get rid of that drug effect as much as possible. So you need to create that number. You have to have that number in mind, and you have to always look at it somewhere, that this number, when I reach this number, I'm going to quit. Second thing is, now that you are going to get into that organization, wherever it is, in your placement, understand this, that they are not going to give you any money for free. They are going to expect you to be rigorously working for their cause, right? So you might not have a lot of time for your startup. Okay, so while you are at work, parallelly doing it is, it's very difficult. But can you still make it? Because 95% of the people would give it up. They would say that I am too busy with my work, I'm tired end of the day. But if you can spare every week also maybe 4 hours for your own idea to work on, you can make it work. So if I go back to your question, is it a weird stuff that I want to now go into a job though I had a startup idea in mind? No, it's not. It's absolutely fine if you go into a job, but it will become weird if you told everybody that you want to start up and you are just joining the organization because you just want some money initially, and then you totally forgot that you wanted to do it. That would be weird. So make sure that you are always keeping yourself motivated. Now I'm going to do this. one day I'm going to do this, and this is when I say one day, this is the day when I see in my account this much money is there, I can start my business, I would start it. I hope that answers your question.
Do we have any more questions? I don't think so. So, also, we have provided a link of the feedback form for this session in the chat. Make sure to fill it up. And as we wrap up, sir, do you have any final thoughts or words of wisdom you'd like to share with our listeners?
Oh, well, I think a lot of wisdom I have already shared about, and I don't want another word of wisdom to be shared. Honestly, one thing that I always think is a lot of brain is way more powerful than one. So even here in this webinar also, there are so many of you, almost 50 plus people. So a cumulative thought process, idea, or wisdom that you have is no less than what I told you. Maybe parts and bits and pieces here and there, all of you had all these things in mind. You probably knew somewhere, you heard it. So I would suggest that uh, keep yourself upbeat all the time, and as much as possible, stay in touch with me. And wherever you are learning something new, you are trying out something, you experienced something, let me know. That way, there is a two-way learning. I also get to learn, and maybe if we can get to discuss, then we both get to learn a lot. So don't take this as this guy, because he was speaking 90% of the time, this guy knows all and we don't know anything. That's absolutely not how it works. The community is way, way powerful. So believe in yourself and share knowledge as much as possible.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable words and your valuable time. What a fantastic session we have had today. As we come to the close of this event, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone who made this possible. First and foremost, a huge shout out to our guest, Sayantan Mukherjee, for sharing such invaluable insights and inspiring stories. Your experiences have truly resonated with us, and I'm sure many of us are leaving here with our minds buzzing with new ideas. I'd also like to take this moment to express our sincere appreciation to the board of directors for their unwavering support and encouragement. Your vision and commitment to fostering a culture of innovation are what makes events like this a reality, and for that, we are truly grateful. A big thank you goes out to the organizing team. You have worked tirelessly to ensure that everything went off without a hitch, and it shows. To the tech crew, thank you for managing all the behind the scenes work so smoothly. You have kept everything running like clockwork. And finally, our amazing audience. Your energy and enthusiasm were palpable throughout the session. Whether you asked a question, shared your thoughts, or just listened intently, you played a vital role in making this event a success. We hope you found the conversation not just insightful, but also actionable, sparking new ideas for your own entrepreneurial journey. Let's keep the momentum going. Stay curious, stay innovative, and most importantly, stay connected. We look forward to seeing you at our future sessions. Talking of which, I would like to remind everyone about our next session of My Story Motivational Session by Successful Entrepreneurs tomorrow. We extend our warm welcome to each of the listeners of today's event. Until then, take care and thank you once again, sir.
Thank you, Mega. I mean, you have thanked everybody, but I think I should thank you also, because
Thank you so
amazing,
much.
some very amazing, thought-provoking questions you have asked, and those are very useful for people over here as well. So you should also, get some sort of applause for the way you handled it. Very well
Thank
done.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Bye, sir.